everybody, welcome back to Crafting with Kimberly. Today we are going to be making a stained glass window. So before you do this, make sure that you've watched Lauren's Learning with Lauren video where she talks about glass and how important it was throughout history and today. So all that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to tell you the supplies that I have first. So I have a ruler, I have tape, I have a bunch of tissue paper, and I have scissors, and just lost some tissue paper, but that's okay. I have some scissors so I could cut up my tissue paper. So you'll notice on the table, I've got a bunch of little pieces of tissue paper that have been cut into random sizes and shapes. I have some construction paper that I have also already cut down into strips to make the frame for my stained glass window. And I would love to have a glue stick, but I don't. So instead, I'm using this Elmer's glue, and I'm going to have a plate that I put the glue on, and I am going to use a paintbrush to kind of smooth the glue out a little bit on my tissue paper. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually go ahead and get started and show you what I do and zoom in on my hands, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about it after. Okay, so I am done with at least part of it. One thing that I did not mention was the wax paper. So I got the tissue paper and the construction paper, and what I was doing was gluing the pieces of tissue paper down onto a piece of wax paper. So I actually had two that I had cut the same size. I put my tissue paper down, and then I glued down on just the edges an additional piece of wax paper, so it's kind of sandwiched in between these two pieces. Now, as far as the size of your window, you can do whatever size you want. The only reason mine is this size is because I was working with 8.5 by 11 construction paper, and I cut my frame to that, which you'll see in just a minute. And so that is why I did that. So it's done, but what I'm gonna do is create a little frame for it. So I just took construction paper and my ruler and went down the edges, and I literally just cut the edges of the paper to create my frame. So I am going to go ahead and do that. Again, I did not have a glue stick, so I just put glue on a paper plate, and I'm using a paintbrush to let it spread a little bit better. And I am going to paint the backs of the paper and put it down onto my wax paper to create a little frame, so it looks a little more finished. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, I am done. So what I did is I glued the strips of construction paper to the edges to create a frame on both sides. And I did have a little bit of extra wax paper and tissue paper kind of sticking out on the edges, and it wasn't perfectly sized. So I just took my scissors and cut off the extra that was hanging out of it to make it a little bit cleaner on the edge. So I am going to just let it dry a little bit, and then a little later, once it's dry, I'm gonna punch holes into the corners and tie a little bit of string and hang it up in one of the historic buildings here. All right, so I am done. My stained glass window has dried mostly, and I'm gonna show you the finished product. Oh. Oh. So I've actually got, there's a little meal here, and I'm gonna hang it up and let it just be pretty. We're here in the Vance house. Ta-da!